I'm at the river now by Danny. So that's where she was at. This is her emotional state in the summer, fall of 2022. That brings us back to October 4th. And here I'll give you sort of an overview of what the evidence is going to show us, the sequence of events of that day. Now, the first thing to establish is that on the relevant dates here, Billy Joe Howell, the defendant's mother, and Thomas Howell, her stepdad, are out of town. They're not in town. They're not in the house. They are sort of out of play. I expect that will be undisputed. So that leaves in the house Paul, the defendant, Danny, and the three children, Zane, Quinton, and Scott. In the morning of October 4th, quite early in the morning, in fact, the defendant and Danny take the three children to babysitter Michelle McCarty and her two teenage daughters that live on the same street. They live like right across the street.
The Michelle woman that ended up being the babysitter of the three kids, awesome woman. Awesome woman. Like, this family treated her like shit when this happened. Even blamed her for it. The lady that babysitted the three kids. The Lily's mother blamed Michelle for doing it. We later on find out Michelle didn't have anything to do with it, but and there's even a video of Lily's mother storming into this house yelling at Michelle. Michelle didn't take that very kindly. So yeah, there's a video of that. So you definitely need to go look into this if you've never heard of this case at all. There's so much that happened.
Here in Buckhalter. And it says babysitter up here, and I've called her the babysitter, but really you'll hear from Michelle, one of her daughters. And it comes across more like they're almost like a second family or a substitute family for these kids because of the parental shortcomings at 535 Buckhalter. So the evidence might show that the babysitter kind of undersells it a little bit. And the child care arrangement was this. At this point in time, Danny and the defendant are working at a warehouse in Port Wentworth, unloading, loading boxes. They're carrying boxes in the warehouse in Port Wentworth. And their shift starts at 6 a.m. They're working the 6 a.m. shift. So early in the morning, on the way to work, they'll drop off three children with Michelle, with her two teenage daughters. And so they do that. And they both go to work. They clock in at essentially the exact same time, a little after 6 a.m. on October 4th. Now they clock out less than 2 hours later. And the reason they do that is the defendant is experiencing some kind of dental issue. She has a tooth that's bothering her, and it needs to come out. And so they clock out right around 8 o'clock, just before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I forgot about
and they
that.
go to...
I forgot about the tooth being pulled, because a lot of people use that as an excuse for what she did. Like, said that she was drugged or something from the tooth being pulled, and that's why she did what she did. I'm sure that's what her defense is going to use as an excuse.
Some type of like emergency dental clinic or walk-in dental clinic. And she gets a tooth pulled. These are some pictures, selfies she took of herself in the dentist chair. And you can see the side of her mouth on the left side there, I think is kind of swollen. She sent